Hi and welcome back to my channel. This is Out the Doghouse, and in today's video we're going to be working on some boundary games. So this is Chase's very first time being on this bed. It's just come today, so I'm going to link all the information about this in the description if you're interested. It is foldable, very easy to assemble. It just clicks into place and it's a perfect size for Chase. So more information in the description if you're interested. But today's video is all about building value in this brand new boundary. So there'll be some games that we can play to do that. If you enjoy watching this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to stay tuned for more videos. Okay, so to start with, the very first step for introducing any new boundaries, obviously just to get the dog up. So I'm going to start as if he'd not been on there before. I would lure him up and then start to feed in place. So I have a mixture of Chase's normal dry kibble food and some higher value treats in here as well. And I'm just going to start feeding and make sure he's really comfortable being on this new equipment. Obviously he's not used to a raised bed. It obviously has a slight sag in the middle, so that's something new for him. It's a little bit noisy. His paws make a bit of a scratching noise on this surface, so just make sure he's really comfortable in being up there by just giving him some food and letting him kind of explore and move around. So that's the very first step. And there are some games that we can kind of play just to initially introduce the food there. So I might just cover that up, wait for him to back up. Okay, good boy. So just kind of some general manners and things as we are building the value. Good boy. And then as you start to feed more and more and increase the value of the boundary, then what can happen if we start to introduce a cue to break from position. So I'm going to go break, ask him to come off, and then what should happen is the dog wants to go straight back onto the boundary because this was where they were super happy and receiving a load of treats. So if we don't have any treats to offer them when they step off, then they're probably going to be looking to go straight back to where they were receiving those. So this is a really nice test. So again, I'm just going to do a few more feeds on the boundary, and when he's sure he's got all of those, he's just having a little check. Then I'm going to go break, and he's hopping straight back up. So this is the first game and real test on whether the value is in the bed. If the dog isn't jumping straight back up, we need to feed more on the bed and interact more on the bed and make sure that they're happy in being up there. So a couple more, and then we're going to try that again. Break. Good boy. Okay, so that is level 1 of introducing the boundary. And what I'm going to start to do next is start to introduce the cue for what I'm going to be using to get him into the boundary. So I'm going to be using the place cue. So I'm going to start by just luring him off, break, and then I'm going to say place, and then I'm going to give him some food in that place. Good boy. So I'm going to lure him, break, and then place. So I'm luring him on this time just because he's never heard that cue before. So this is brand new to him. So I'm just going to make sure he's understanding as I'm saying the cue place that I'm luring him on so he knows what's required. And I'm going to start to try and do that without any luring then. So break, place, good boy. And it's super easy given that what we saw in game 1, they're already happy to jump back up themselves. We can start to say that cue word as they're doing so they start to learn that really easily. They're already doing what's required for the cue. Okay, so once you're really happy and you've spent some time building value into them being on the boundary by just feeding on here and making sure that they're happy spending some time in that position, just exploring the boundary, then what you can start to do is really test that value. And the way we can do that is by taking some of his food and just placing it outside the boundary. Now this is a game of it's your choice. So is he going to choose to stay on the boundary, which is where I've added the value so far, or is he going to break? And in this case, he stayed where he is. So I'm going to reward that for being the right decision. It's really important at this point we are testing whether the value is in the boundary. If it's not, and they do break position, we need to spend more time making sure that they do understand this is where we want them to stay. Okay, so I'm going to feed some more on, and then I'm going to do that test again. So we're going to just drop some food, really try and entice him off. If he stays where he is, good boy. Then we're going to pick that up and feed on the boundary. So I'm just going to go break, place. And I just wanted to reset him here because the place cue moving forwards for me will mean to get onto the boundary, but also to stay on the boundary. So place isn't, and what the dog needs to learn quite quickly is that place, or the cue, whatever cue you use, isn't just about getting onto the boundary and then being rewarded and then breaking whenever you want. That cue actually means get to the boundary as quick as you can and stay on the boundary until told otherwise with a cue such as break. So that's really important. We want to make sure that we're being proactive and not letting the dog just wander off the boundary. So these kind of games are really ideal for that because the dog can stay engaged with us and we're in control and trying to help through games, teach them what they need to do. So again, I'm going to, oh, see, I have to be quick there because he nearly got that one, but he did stay where he is. I'm going to be slightly more animated by just dropping from more heights just to really test, and he stayed where he is. So I can reward like so. Good boy. Okay, so the final game that I'm going to be playing today for Chase's boundary session is going to be really working on the speed to getting back to that boundary. Again, just to really build that value and drive towards the boundary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move away. I'm going to ask him to break the boundary, come to me, and then I'm going to from more of a distance ask him to go to his place, which is the boundary now. So when I give him the cue place, I'm going to be looking for him to go super fast back to the boundary, and then I'm going to be rewarding that. So just from being at further distance, this is again another test, another game, and another way to build value. So I'm going to start over here, and I'm going to go break, place, and there we go, and he springs back, and then I can feed on there. So break, place. So I've not actually rewarded here just because I don't want to, at this point and at this level, while we're quite early in the training, I don't want to confuse. I want to be really clear that that is where all the value is. That is where the rewards will come, and that'll help drive him back to that position. So I'm going to go break, place. Good boy. Then we can chuck some over there, and we can start to build up the distance that we do this, so we can keep moving back. Oh, and right, so in that scenario, this is a really good example. So he's just broke position. What do? We don't punish, we don't scold, we don't say no. There's, you know, this is all a learning game, but the game ends. So we don't reward that. We want to make sure we're really clear and we give those guidelines. So we're going to just repeat place. So we're just going to reset that clock, the timeline there. So there was no punishment, there was no, concern. It was just he broke position before a break. Therefore, when he went back, he didn't earn that reward that time. So we're going to try that again. So I came further back. Break. Good. Place. Yes. I'm just going to wait a little bit longer, see if he makes the same mistake. Break. Place. Good boy. And it looks like he's already learning from that, and that's what learning's all about. So it's important that we learn from those mistakes and we give them the opportunity to do so. If he did make the same mistake again, then maybe it's slightly too difficult and we're not setting him up for success. So I'd make it even easier. Maybe I wouldn't be at such a distance when I'm asking him to do that. Break. Place. Good boy. Break. Place. Good boy. And there we have it. That is Chase's first session on a brand new boundary. I hope you enjoyed watching. Please leave a comment below with any questions or your experience of building boundaries. Good boy. Come here. Waiting. Hi and welcome to Out the Dog House.